Kia ora and welcome to Wāhine, a podcast celebrating wāhine in business who are carving their own path with intention, courage and vision. This is Wāhine Legacy Leadership. O tēnā koe e Tarra, nau mai, hara mai ki te hōtaka a wāhine. Pai kia au te noho tahi tāua he kōrero I tēnei rā. So thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. I am very much looking forward to our kōrero and what we uncover in our conversation today. I've been looking forward to this conversation and hearing about your journey and having the listeners learn about your journey and what that's looked like, not growing up at home, but very much holding on to the culture wherever you've been in the world. And that's really what Wāhine, the podcast, is all about. It's about uplifting the voices of wāhine in business and getting to see all of the varied and different journeys that everyone takes during their time in business, and just listening to see, how individually we build our businesses, how what we do in the world shapes our narratives. And I just enjoy every conversation on the podcast because it is so varied, and every journey is so unique. So I can't wait for you to share your journey with the listeners. So to get us started, I would love to hand over to you to introduce yourself.
Awesome. First, Sandra, ngā mihi kia koe for inviting me to be on your beautiful podcast. It's such an honor to be here, so ngā mihi. Tōku papa taha a Ngāti Māhanga, me tōku mama taha a Ngāti Maniapoto. Ko tainui tōku waka. Ko Tarra Bishop tōku ingoa. So to all the listeners out there, my name is Tarra, and I was just introducing the iwi, the tribe that my mum and dad are both from, and also the waka that we are from in Tainui in New Zealand. So it's an honour to be here, and ngā mihi aroa kia koe, Sandra, for having me here.
You're welcome. Alrighty, Tarra, let's get into your business journey. Can you share with us a bit about what your business is, what you do, who you serve, and the impact that you make with your business?
Yeah, sure. So kia ora, ladies and gents again. So I actually help men and women learn how to rebuild their level of self-belief, and also helping men and women learn to trust themselves again, and also be able to help men and women elevate their self-confidence. Because one, when you believe in yourself, two, when you trust yourself, you have that level of empowerment within you to actually create a life and a professional career you want. And the reason I've really decided to step into all things life and professional career coaching and mentoring is because as a previous recruiter with 15 plus years experience, I have certainly met a lot of men and women who are extremely talented, yet they're staying in careers where they're not actually fulfilled. So a beautiful fusion of bringing awareness back to self to then create a life and a career one wants. So that's what I do, and the most impactful thing that I think is so rewarding from my perspective is actually seeing men and women be confident within themselves and trusting themselves to make decisions for all aspects of their life.
I love how you're quite specific with that. Tell me what led you to, that life and career, especially when it's around self-belief, self-trust, what led you there?
Sure. Well, I know growing up, even through primary and high school, I had a very low self-esteem. Even to be able to communicate with someone and, have eye-to-eye contact. I used to struggle when I was a lot younger. And then with my professional career, I grew up in Australia. Most of my life I lived in Australia, and I actually moved. My corporate role was a recruiter, a global recruiter within the mining and oil and gas sector. So being in that industry for 15 years, you certainly meet men and women from all walks of life, all different positions, all demographics, and having the opportunity to support men and women on a global scale. It got to a stage with me personally where I actually noticed that people were just wanting a job because they need to pay the bills. And then I got to a stage personally where I was like, one day when I have my own whānau, one day when I have my own family, I want flexibility. And I want to be able to work from home or work from anywhere so I can have lots of quality time with my own whānau. So I thought, and I love traveling. I've always loved traveling. So I was like, how can I use my experience and then be able to share that with men and women? And with the beauty of technology, I'm like, yeah, I can do it. And during business, I must say there's been lots of challenging times where there was lots of self-doubt. So not shying away from that, though I think it's also important to focus on when you experience the self-doubt to actually refocus your awareness on, the type of life that you actually want. So the type of life that I want. And I feel that the more that I evolve as a person, it's like I'm going to say naturally attracting men and women into my life who are also experiencing that self-doubt, though they want more in their life, in their career. Yeah. I think I answered that question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Because what got me is, people that start out in their business, they're quite wide in like what they want to do and who they want to work with. So that really caught my eye, that you're really quite specific in who you serve and what you want to help them with. Coming out of global recruitment, like global recruitment into like coaching, it's still people related, but quite different in, what you're doing with people. What made you like take a different track, like leave the global recruiting behind and go, actually, that's a nice job, it's a nice career. Yes, I wanted more for my life, but it's quite a different track where perhaps you could have carried on in the global recruiting, but just worked inside of a different model.
Yeah. So it actually all started when I chose to invest in my own personal and also business coach, with a beautiful coach and one that I have so much love and respect for. So I invested in the beautiful Nadine Muller's coaching container. And during this 3 months, it was the biggest investment I'm going to say that I've done to date, and one of the most rewarding experiences. And so during this time, I really wanted guidance and support on how to start a business. And initially, my mind was all about strategy, what's the business plan, all things external. Though during this 3 months of me really investing in myself, I learned so many great things about me, and it was more of a remembrance. And then I realized that I was like, I can do this. I can actually fully start my business and take my recruitment experience and help men and women when it comes to learning more about themselves, to then use fully optimize their unique skills to then create the life they want, the business, the career, all the things. And so it really went from working for a global organization, supporting each department, to then actually working with individuals and understanding what their values are, understanding what's actually important to them. And, even, and I'm sure you can agree, Sandra, that even if we have brothers and sisters, we might be whānau, but our values are also different in some ways, as well as our desires and our goals. So it's more rewarding actually being in the space of coaching and mentoring to really understand the importance of an individual, rather than working for a large organization. So, yeah.
And now that you put it like that, really, it's just you're working on the other side of the table. You're just working with the individuals that you used to help put into a job. You're just helping them in a different capacity to really understand, is that the job they really want, or is it a job to make ends meet? It's so.
And I must say, it was really challenging at the time I say it like this, taking the recruitment hat off, because it was a title I was attached to for so long. And even now I receive messages and communication from management and business owners. Tarra, can you assist us with recruitment? And I said, if you would like to go a bit deeper than that, yeah, sure, I can support you in your organization, where I'm happy to keep that recruitment hat to the side. And I feel it's a lot more powerful when someone goes a lot deeper than just surface level.
Yeah. What was a moment that kind of shifted everything for you? Was there a moment in time where you're like, right, now is the time to make a change, or was it just gradual over time?
If I was to reflect on going from a corporate full-time position to being bold and courageous and starting my own business, it was really when my beautiful coach at the time, Nadine, she was traveling Australia at the time with her husband, with her Tana and her two beautiful sons. And it was an hour to an hour and a half call. And I was like, and they were still traveling Australia. She was being of service. She was with her beautiful family. And the financial investment was huge. And I was like, I can do that. And it was like, initially I was like, yes, financial freedom, though the more and more I've learned and grown and evolved personally and also in business, I now realize it's more than just financial freedom. So, but yes, I think, when you have, when you're sitting in powerful spaces, whether it's online or in different rooms or sitting at different tables, and you actually notice what's available, or your awareness starts shifting. And I was like, yes, I can do this. I deserve more. So it was really about shifting, like witnessing what's possible through my own coach, and then actually learning to shift my own beliefs. And though that is a forever journey, I believe that it's a forever journey of involvement. And yeah. Yeah.
I agree. It is a forever journey. The self-awareness, like in our conversation before, we hit record, I was really admiring the amount of self-awareness that you have around yourself, what you want in business. Has that always been a part of your nature and something you grew up with, or is that something that you've been working on as you've grown and evolved to this point?
No, absolutely not. The more and more that I really bring awareness, I'm going to say back to self, the more I notice that I'm shifting and I'm pivoting, I'm expanding in different levels. Though previously, and love to my beautiful parents who are in heaven, in business, initially it was all about survival. It was, yeah. And so as I've learned that it's not always about surviving. You don't have to stay in a job or stay in mahi just to pay the bills or put a roof over your head. And though I appreciate it's extremely important, though I'm a firm believer that we are not here to struggle. We're not here to survive. And so that is one massive belief that I am continuously moving through, around scarcity, around no longer having to survive. I don't believe that that's why we're here on this beautiful earth, even though my parents did so much to keep us alive as such in regards to a kāinga, in regards to kai, and and I believe that one's mental health is really, really imperative. Whether you're in business, whether you're a mom or dad, whether you're in your professional career, I think, I really believe that one's mental well-being is extremely, extremely important. Yeah.
And those beliefs that you talk about and just shared with us, is that something you've had to examine as you've taken the journey in business, or has that just been something you've been curious about as you've moved into adulthood and business?
I feel that it's since being in business, I feel that it's I've experienced lots of, I'm going to say, let's say roadblocks as such. And it's like things have come up and I'm like, what is this? And though, especially around money, especially around scarcity, especially around actually self-belief and knowing that I'm worthy to be in business. And it's something and that's why I truly believe, even as a coach and a mentor, I still have coaches and mentors in my life. Though I've certainly got a beautiful connection with Eeyore, with our creator. Though it's something that I feel that I'm always moving through. And then there are times where I'm like, yes, I've pushed through that. Then something comes up. I'm like, okay, I see you. So let's create a solution to move through it. I remember when I first started my business, I made a decision to sponsor a certain event in Australia. And I didn't have a lot of money at the time, though I trusted myself and I believed in myself. So I flew myself back to Australia. I sponsored this event. I made great connections, and that led to 2 new clients. So even when it comes to money and finances, comes to putia, I was like, no, I trust myself. And that's why I continue to invest in myself with coaches and mentors. Even if finances may be low, it's okay. I believe and I trust myself to go and do the thing, because I know eventually there'll be rewards at the end. Yeah.
Those are not easy, not easy to trust in yourself that when you invest, it will come back. And there may be, some listeners listening to the podcast who was like, how can you have such faith when you have no control or no plan that it will come back?
Yeah. Yeah. A few things that I do personally is I really love the practice of yoga. So that grounds me. And then knowing that my beautiful parents are here watching me, I feel like I hear my dad saying, what are you doing with your life? My dad was such a hardworking man, though I know him and my mom will be so proud of me, so proud. Though even when I meet other men and women who are transitioning in their career, who have made bold decisions and courageous decisions to start their own business, I always remind them that, stay focused on why you're choosing to make these decisions. Even if there's a roadblock, a hurdle, allow yourself to see it, to move through it, create a solution, and stand back up and keep going. There have been many times where I've cried to my whānau so much, so much, though I'm also proud of the strength internally and that level of self-belief and self-trust. Yeah, there have been times where I've wanted to give up, but I'm like, I'm so happy I didn't. Yeah.
How do you, when you're at those low moments, when you're like, can I really do this? How do you bring yourself, how do you rise above all of that to, come back to, I trust in myself. I trust that what I give will return, and the reciprocity is always in flow.
Mm-hmm.
How do you bring yourself back to that point when you've got those low moments when you're like, what is all of this for?
So a few things that I do is, it might sound like a cliche as such, though. I actually love to just take my shoes off and go and stand on the ground, whether there's grass, concrete, or something, and connect with Mama Tuanuku. There are times where I'll call. I have an older sister, and her tane raised me since I was 10 in Australia. So I feel extremely blessed because I have two mums and dads. So I call my sister mum. I call my sister mum and my second dad, and I cry and I scream, and I'm like, what the frick is happening? I call my beautiful younger sister, even though I come from a very big whānau. And at the same time, I also have learned, especially over the last 12 months, to really focus on how I want to feel. So right now, for example, there might be lots of challenges going on, though how do I actually want to feel? And I've noticed that with with the challenges that I've experienced in the past, I feel like I've actually brought them on myself due to my own beliefs. And people will be like, some people your listeners may say, what are you talking about? But I actually understand that now. It's like I was creating these roadblocks for myself because I had so much self-doubt. Whereas now, I'm like, okay, this is where I am. And this is what I'm currently experiencing, though I know for sure that these things are actually going to come to fruition. The level of self-trust, like people think I'm going crazy. And I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe I am. But I'm here, I'm breathing, I'm still being of service, and just really, really staying focused on what it is that I deserve, but also being really grateful of where I am, down to the kai that I have, down to the beautiful connections I have, down to technology, my clients online. Because a past version of me had so many beautiful, I guess, I'm going to say material things, so I was not grateful. I was not grateful at the time. Yeah.
I too believe that your inner thoughts and your inner world are a reflection of your external world. So if you have worked on the internal world, then it will reflect in the external world. And if your external world is going to the rubbish tip, then come back and look at what's going on the internal world. That's reflecting that back at you. So I truly believe that, yeah, it's all about what goes on the inside.
Yeah.
Perfect. Can we talk a little bit about cultural identity? You know, you've grown up for the majority of your life in Australia. How has that influenced your connection to culture, or, you know, what you're doing now in the world?
Sure. So I was born in Tokoro, and then I moved to Australia with my older sister and her beautiful tane and her whānau when I was 10. So I left. I lived in Perth, Western Australia, for 30 years. Initially, growing up in Australia was really hard, actually, when it came to, I guess, the differences in our appearance, the differences in skin color. And in high school, I really, really struggled in a sense of, why do I look this way? There's other, I'm going to say, beautiful wāhine who are tall and, I'm going to say, of white complexion with blue eyes, blonde hair. And during high school, as I mentioned before, I had extremely low self-esteem. And I was really actually embarrassed for a long, long time, even in my adult life. I'm going to say, and I think I shared this with you when we first connected, Sandra, that I think it's been maybe the last 2 to 3 years, roughly, where I'm finally proud to be Māori. Yeah, so it's been a massive journey. And so I can even feel myself tearing up now. Even when I introduce myself and mentioning my parents and our iwi, that I'm sure the listeners would have heard a few tears or my voice being croaky, because I'm just so proud of who I am and where I come from. Yeah, but it's been a massive journey. A massive journey, yeah.
Do you want to share a bit more about what that journey's been like for you? You know, in you know, in all aspects of your life, really. You know, even moving into corporate life and HR, coming out into business, that's a whole new journey, which would have opened, a whole different set of emotions and thoughts. But what did it? I'm trying to think of my question. How did you remain connected with culture, being so far away?
So when our beautiful parents passed away, I come from a whānau of seven tamariki, 7 children, and it was actually due to one of the oldest brother in our whānau, Brother Ray, actually suggesting or recommended we all come together as a whānau once a week. So even now, 99% of the time, every Sunday it works out to be 10 a.m. in New Zealand, 5 a.m. in Bali, Australia, wherever we are in the world, and we all connect. And I feel that since my parents have passed away, and I'm going to say I'm fortunate in some ways that my whānau, my brothers and sisters, we're a lot closer. And we meet once a week. We don't always agree. We don't always laugh. There are times where we disagree. We say a karakia. We talk, ask each other, how are your kids? How's life? How's business? All the things. And I feel that is one way that I stay connected to our culture. There were certainly lots of learnings when our parents passed away, going back to the marae and not understanding all the tikanga and everything. So that's been not only a big learning experience for myself, but for my other brothers and sisters. And we just continue to learn as a whānau and, of course, individually. Over the past couple of years, a few of my brothers and sisters are starting to learn te reo, which is good. And it's nice to be able to do that. And at the same time, with myself traveling to so many different places within the 41 years of living, and now recently having my beautiful moko kōwai. This year I was very blessed, and I went to Qatar and also Morocco, and just seeing how people are so fascinated by the Māori culture it makes me even more proud. And though being in the corporate world as a Māori wāhine at the time, even though I knew I was in a humble way, even though I knew I was a very experienced recruiter, I also had a whole lot of self-doubt within, based on my lineage actually. And then making a courageous decision to move into business, I was like, gosh, am I good enough? And all those thoughts of, literally, I was putting limitations on myself based on me being from New Zealand. And though now it's the total opposite. I remember when I received my moko kōwai only last year, which is a huge, huge blessing. A lot of people said, you're going to lose clients, especially on LinkedIn. And I didn't have any. I was not even concerned. And I just know that my ancestors are there guiding me and leading me as well as our creator, and that the right clients will be literally attracted through to me because of the value I'm adding, not because of my moko kōwai or anything. So yes, I'm proud of who I am, and culturally, I actually, encourage my clients, men and women, to really embrace who they are and where they come from, and beautifully fuse it with their life experience in all different aspects, but really, really stay connected to who you are first, and then worry about the external. And I share that because that's the journey I've been on.
Yeah,
just
again,
for the sake of speaking.
The internal game, right, is the amount of self-belief to reject all of those comments coming to you from the outside world around what it would mean in a non-Māori environment, if you like, if you were to show up with, facial tattoos, as they would say. So a lot of internal work to gain that self-trust, self-belief that all will be well in the world. when I can turn up fully as myself.
And then when you can turn up fully as yourself, so many opportunities will be presented professionally in business and clients, and
We've talked previously about, scarcity, fear, and how they show up in our life. Do you want to talk about your journey with those two emotions, which I actually see in a lot of people? You can, once you see it, it's like you can't unsee what scarcity and fear looks like in someone that you're talking to. But tell me a bit about your journey with overcoming the scarcity and fear that were quite evident in your external world.
Sure. I'm going to bring it back to my beautiful parents once again. And our dad was such an amazing and hardworking man. And mum was a really, really beautiful mum who did her best to look after and took all of us 7 children. And it was like dad was forever working long hours, always trying to provide for us, like a lot of fathers, I believe, do. And it was I had a good childhood, though. There were so many, I'm going to say, traumatic experiences around scarcity and not having enough and not being good enough. And I'm going to be transparent, and though to my whānau, I love you all, though it was, for me, from my perspective, I always believed for a long time, Sandra, that because I wasn't Pākehā, that I couldn't be rich or successful. So stepping into business and leaving a global role, which I know a lot of people were like, what are you doing? You're crazy. It was me actually choosing to no, I can actually make this. I can actually create this life. I can be a successful business owner and also be Māori at the same time. Yeah. So
I want to ask you a question.
Yes, sure.
I was going to say, I want to ask you a question, and you can choose to answer this or not. But how do you really embrace that when you're not surrounded by it, in terms of growing up in Western Australia? When you're here at home, when you move in the community, you see yourself reflected and its normality. I mean, there's been instances where I've been met with some racism remarks, and I'm just, it takes me back every time, because I'm like, how can that be in today's day and age where our reo is now not only on radios, but it's on TV, it's on road signage, it's everywhere. Like, it's no longer hiding in the dark. Our culture and language that was only used to sell the country for tourism purposes is actually so much more than that now. So when I hear, quite racist remarks, I'm like, how can you be so oblivious when it is now all around us and it is openly in public? But being in Australia, that's not the external world that surrounds you, so to overcome, the limiting beliefs, the fears that you've had, how do you lean into that even more when it's not what you see, when you watch television or when you drive down the road?
One thing during my own, I'm going to say, personal development journey, and I believe that I'm forever a student. This is why I am a firm believer that having a coach and a mentor in my world is it really adds value to me personally, which then has a profound impact on my business, which then has a flow-on effect to my clients. And so whether it's being a part of a group coaching container online, with me moving from Qatar to Morocco and now I'm in Bali, I really like to stay in communities online with really, really like-minded people. I've even decided to remove some long-term friends. I've been friends with them for years. I love them. We're on a different page. We're sitting at a different table. Not that I'm better, that my mindset is shifting. And it's no longer, I mean, there have been some really challenging times in business. Don't get me wrong. There are times where I didn't even have $1 in my bank account. So I'm definitely acknowledging that, though I'm grateful for my whānau at the same time, for my sister mum supporting me. So I know it's really, really important to sit in really powerful and empowering rooms, or sit at online communities, to really re-educate myself has been really powerful. There are certain things I refuse to look at online. I don't listen to certain things, videos and conversations. I actually remove myself, because I feel that the more and more that you choose to be part of environments that are pulling you away from what you actually want, you will just stay stuck. You'll stay in the same place. And there are even conversations that I refuse to have with my own beautiful family. Yeah. And my own values and my own desires call me selfish, but that's what also grounds me, like as a sense of anchoring. Yeah. So self-belief is so powerful. It's a lot more powerful than people even realize. Yeah.
And that's what I was just thinking as I was sitting here, is that, you know, the amount of self-belief that you've had to build and build and build and build and build to get here is phenomenal. So, you know, big congratulations to you. That's not easy work.
Thank you. I feel that with me leaving Australia over 2 years ago now, and I sold my house and my beautiful material items, my Range Rover, and though at the moment I may not have those material things, though the amount of growth that I've experienced, material things cannot actually replace it. Yeah. Do I miss my Range Rover? Absolutely, yes. So the amount of growth I've been through, I'm just like, whew, I can move through anything. And then losing my parents, I can definitely move through anything. Yeah.
What's been one moment that you are, you know, extremely proud of? What's one moment in your business journey that really stands out for you?
It would actually be both men and women, like seeing my clients, men and women, like seeing their level of self-confidence increase. And yes, I've had the opportunity to support and guide them, but it's them actually remembering that they are worthy to believe in themselves. Yeah, and these are men and women that are in managerial, executive positions, medical professions over in Germany, business owners, all different age groups and different cultures and backgrounds, and just seeing their level of self-confidence increase during the time that we work together that's extremely rewarding. Yeah. Especially someone coming, especially with a past version of me not believing in myself or having confidence. Yeah.
You know, what's that one moment where they realize that that's the work that they need to do? Because in the roles and careers that you've just described, self-awareness might not be at the top of the personal development list, you know? So what's that moment for them where they say to themselves, this is actually what I need to do next?
With the clients I've supported so far, with those who are in the various roles I've just explained, it's for even like the men, and I take my hat off to when men reach out to me. Like I just, especially in today's world, like men should be strong and men shouldn't show emotions. And I'm going to say blah, blah, blah to that because we're all human. And though through conversations and client inquiries, men are saying that at work they feel powerful, they feel confident because of their position title. They believe in themselves when it comes to decision making, though when it comes to their own personal life and they step out of the office or working environment, they actually don't know who they are. They've forgotten who they are. And I'm like, and that's why I always ask my clients, who are you without your job title? And they're appreciating people work their butt off to get to this position title. Yeah. And even my beautiful clients over in Germany and France, they hold really high positions in the medical industry over there. And they're running hospitals and clinics and surgery, operations and all the things. Though when it comes to stepping out of that environment, it's about them getting to know themselves again and them really just connecting to who they are. And it sounds really easy. And people are like, yeah, I know who I am. So I think there's nothing wrong with anyone. I think life just lives and we forget how powerful we actually are. Yeah.
Because that's quite the moment, when you realize that this is the work that you need to do, because over here I'm in charge, I know what I need to do, but remove me from that environment and I'm lost, I'm unsure, and I'm just not sure who I am or how I'm showing up, And anyone at that point, I'm like, take my hat off. Like when I sold my business, that identity work of who am I now that I don't own that business?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that took me, I want to say, ages to peel back the layers. But when I had that identity, I would have said to you, I'm clear on who I am without this job, without this business. I'm clear on who I am and where I am and where I fit in the world. And, I would have said I was clear. It wasn't until I sold the business that I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
And then a whole lot of layers began to peel back. So it's an interesting journey. And for those that are in the thick of their career and have that awareness, take my hat off to them.
Yeah. And it's a massive realization.
Yeah, right. Yeah. How do they find you, Tarra? How do they make their way to you?
I'm going to say 99% of my clients come through LinkedIn. And though I am on all things social media of Instagram and Facebook, and I believe that a lot of my clients come through LinkedIn because of my corporate recruitment experience. So yes, various ways of LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook.
Nice. What would you say has been some of your biggest challenges in your business journey, and how have you worked through them?
I'm going to bring it back to finances. And I laugh, though only a few months ago I was crying when I speak about money. And it's some of my biggest challenges was, I think, like I mentioned before, there was a time where I didn't even have $1 in my bank account. And I called my beautiful sister mom and her husband, who I call dad, my second dad. And I was like, I really need your help. And there've been lots of times, I cannot lie, there've been lots of times where I've asked for support. Though at the end of the day, it's truly come back down to me believing in my own ability and my knowledge and the value I'm adding to my clients' lives. And also me actually knowing my own worth around charging for the services I'm offering. And I remember one of my coaches, she looked online on Instagram and she says, why are you freaking charging that amount? You deserve more than that. And I didn't believe that I was worthy of charging this, because what if this lady or gentleman has bills and has 5 children and 2 dogs, and how can they afford it? And then my coach said to me, there is so much money on this earth that when people really want to invest in themselves, they will pay it. So then my prices have gone up, and it continues to be about me knowing I'm adding value, knowing that I'm here to support and guide men and women globally, and knowing that what I charge, I'm worthy to receive, because I know my clients are going to receive exceptional value. So it's more of a remembrance thing. And that's why when you mentioned before about self-awareness, I really believe it's a continuous journey. And yes, there are days where I feel down and low, though I'm like, Tara, pick yourself up again. Because you may agree, it's so easy to stay down in the negative. And I've noticed the more I stay there, the worse things get. Although I don't want to be in that place. So, yeah. So when it really comes down. So in answer to your question, it's my relationship with money. And really, besides money, it's my relationship with myself, understanding and believing that I'm absolutely freaking worthy to be the successful lady that I am. Yeah. And it's also a thing, a really a powerful pillar I speak into with my clients.
Nice. And so what does that client journey look like when they're working with you, in terms of how long do they work with you? How often do they talk to you? Do they get sent away to do some homework? You know, what does that client journey look like working with you in order that they can move through some really heavy work in terms of self-examination, to come out the other end with feeling good about themselves and where they're going next?
Yeah, sure. So there are various ways that clients, both men and women, can enter my world of coaching and mentoring. And I always like to emphasize men and women, appreciating there's lots of coaches out there, especially female coaches, who only work with women. I feel that when it comes to the masculine and the feminine wide, or the energy, I think it's really important that we have that balance between both. So I love to work with men and women. So in answer to your question, I do have one-to-one mentoring where I work with a client over a 3 or 6 month duration. And we basically meet weekly via live video call. And when it comes to mentoring, whether that's personal or professional or business coaching, it's really tailored to what they are currently experiencing. And though when limiting beliefs come up with certain things, I certainly use all things energetics to help them move through that. And also really, really getting clear on like helping them understand what their values are. Because sometimes people forget actually what's important to them in all aspects of life. So some clients do prefer to work with me one-to-one. And or another option is to join my group coaching program. So I do have a beautiful group coaching container for 3 months, and that's called Connect. And Connect is really about connecting with oneself. And that's where we really, really harness and zone in on rebuilding the self-belief, self-trust, and elevating within their confidence. And then at the end of that beautiful 3 month journey, does include a 1-day retreat. So we'll come together. It's all about celebration and luxury and just really treating the clients that have chosen to invest in themselves. And then I also have Create, which is a 6 month program. This is for the men and women that want to really learn how to utilize and optimize their unique skills, personally, professionally, culturally, and actually learn to trust themselves in a way where they create a life, a business, a professional career they actually want. And it comes down to alignment, like what's important to them. And whatever's important to them is perfect. Knowing that we're not here to please everyone, and you can't do that. It's impossible. And so that's another group coaching program that I offer. And a beautiful way to close off or bring that to a closure is in a 2-day retreat. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love both of those concepts. Really great. You know, and 3 months is a really nice period of time to actually, because there's some shedding that has to happen before the growth happens, right? So,
Yes.
you know,
Amen.
3 months is a yeah, it's a really nice time frame to allow that journey to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So nice. The next question that I have is more around leadership. And, coming from that global HR recruitment environment, you would have had lots of experience of, different styles of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
How has your understanding of leadership evolved since you've come into your own business?
I feel listening is really important. Yeah. Listening is, especially when it comes to clients who have made a courageous decision to finally say yes and step forward and receive support. And I feel that there's so many beautiful people, men and women in this world, where they see support as a sign of weakness when it's not. I see it as a massive sign of strength to say, I'm putting my hand up. I would like to receive support and guidance. So being in the position that I choose to be in as a coach, as a mentor, as a leader, as a guide, is really about listening, like taking time to listen to my clients and actually understanding where they are right now. So where do they ultimately want to be? And really, at the same time, I also believe that effective leadership is about providing guidance, though at the same time ensuring that that my client is actually taking responsibility. When I first started my coaching business, it was like I became a counselor. Here, Tara, here's my problems, fix me. No, there's nothing wrong. You've just forgotten how powerful you are. So let's come back to step one. So where are you now? What's important to you? Let's create a sense of alignment to get you to where you desire to be. Personally, professionally, business, whatever your goals are. Yeah. Yeah. And I see it as walking alongside my clients rather than, come on, I'll hold you. I mean, yes, I'm there to talk with you and support you. Though at the same time, this is your life, your business, your career. You need to take ownership. Yeah. And my coaches do the same. They're like, come on, Tal, what are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah. Because leadership is around empowerment of others around you. It's not so much being here's what we need to do, go do what you need to do in order to get us here or from here to here. It is really about empowering the people around you to move toward the desired outcome.
Yeah.
And that you help
I
people
even
do
ask
that.
my clients like a question of, you've done this for so many years. Do you actually want to do it? They're like, yeah. I said, okay, great. If that's what you want, let's move in that direction. And they also know that you get to change your mind at any given moment. What do you mean? And I'm like, yeah, even if you're starting your own business, why do you have to start work at 9 o'clock? Because you've always worked in a corporate world at 9 o'clock? No, you are your own boss now. Like, believe in yourself. Maybe you want to start at 11. Make a decision. And though it comes back to self-belief, knowing you can change your mind at any given moment.
Yeah. And that's hard after many, many years of conditioning. That's how work behavior, even when you're in your own business, that's the expected work behavior. That's a hard habit to break after many, many years of conditioning.
Like you
Beautiful.
mentioned before, peeling back the layers.
Yeah, it is. It's really peeling back the layers to reveal what's underneath. This has been a beautiful conversation. And I'm interested to know what legacy means to you now.
Now, legacy would be for men and women globally, from all walks of life, to actually know that they're worthy of living a really fulfilling life, that you don't have to just move through life because you're trying to survive. So to actually believe in themselves and to go and actually create, like first create and then go and live the life you actually want to live. Because I know for sure our Creator didn't put us on this earth for us to struggle. Yeah.
That's a beautiful legacy to
People
live
suffering
into.
in the world.
Yeah. Tarra, this has been a beautiful conversation, and I appreciate your vulnerability, your honesty, and then just fully showing up as you today. One of the things that I end every conversation on is connecting the conversation, so passing on question from one guest to the next.
Okay.
So the last guest has left a question and they didn't know who the next guest was going to be. It was just a question that they were curious about. So this is the question that has landed for you. So what are you doing to ensure self-care is embedded in your life on a regular basis, in and amongst business, family, community, and all the commitments that we might have in the world?
My answer to that is continuously practicing the beautiful practice of yoga. It helps me not only physically, but mentally, spiritually, energetically. Yeah.
What does that look like for you on a daily basis? You know, what role does yoga play in your life?
So for me personally, before I start my day, before I give to my clients, I always start with a karakia, and then I actually focus on yogic breath work. So I've been actually practicing yoga since 2011 when I was on an oil and gas project in Australia. And then in addition to my corporate role, I started actually teaching yoga. And so I personally practice a lot of yogic breath work and energy healing within my own body. And then I actually share the practice of yoga online with my clients. And that's also for a form of personal development. So I share the practice of yoga online. I also share the practice of yoga in person. I'm at this beautiful, stunning resort in Bali as we speak. And yoga really helps me in so many different levels, And I know for sure, 100% it helps my clients. I know that. So I acknowledge the ancient practice of yoga. It's a blessing to be able to share this ancient practice.
That is beautiful. I love the way that you just integrate that into your life on a daily basis and to integrate it into just who you are, as opposed to, you know, this is my tick list of what I do for self-care. You know, what I took away from what you just said to me was that it is who you are.
Yeah.
Anything that you want to share before we wrap up today?
First, I just want to say thank you very much for this opportunity. And really, really grateful for your beautiful wairoa. So ngā mihi.
You're welcome. I've truly appreciated our conversation today. It has been like no other on the podcast, and I'm sure that we can talk, you know, a whole new conversation now around yoga, energetics, spirituality, and how we bring those into business. I think
Fuse it all together.
I know, like that. I think that's a whole nother podcast episode that we could dive into. Rather than, you know, talking strategy and upbringing and beliefs. But yeah, yoga, energetics, and spirituality in business is not a common conversation either, which I'm totally up for.
Awesome.
But I really appreciate your time. Like I said, the honesty, the vulnerability. I have really appreciated and treasured what you've shared with our listeners today. There is lots to take away, lots to think about, and hopefully it will spark somebody's journey into uncovering themselves and really building self-trust with awareness. So, ngā mihi nui ki a koe e Tarra. I am deeply grateful for today and all that you have shared. It has been a beautiful kōrero.
Ngā mihi, Sandra. Kia pai tōra.
Thank you so much for listening to Wāhine. If today's kōrero resonated with you, inspired you, or made you stop and think, I'd love for you to follow the show and share it with another wāhine in business. You'll find all of the links and details from this episode in the show notes. So until next time, keep building your business your way, grounded in who you are and the legacy you're here to create. The podcast music is Te Kawa o Rongo by Ngāneko Eriwata. The episode is edited by LJS Creative Services, and the show notes and blog post are written by Bellbird Writing.